లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ లో ఒక ఇంటర్ఫేస్ క్రియేట్ చేసాము వితౌట్ ఎనీ కాంపోనెంట్స్. ఓకే, సో ఇక్కడ ఈ ఆపరేటర్ లో ఉన్న ఆపరేటర్ కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఏవి వాడలేదు మనం. ఏది ఇప్పుడు ఈ కాంపోనెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, ఏది అగ్రిగేటర్ కానీ, డేటా సెట్ కానీ, డిస్టింక్ట్ కానీ, ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ కానీ, ఫిల్టర్ కానీ, జాయిన్ కానీ ఏమి వాడలేదు మనం. ఏమి వాడకుండా we just created a one simple map. Okay, pass through means whatever data we have in the source, the same data we copied to target table. We created a one map. Okay, so now I'm going to create another map. Let's see, I'm creating another map. అందరికీ స్క్రీన్ కనిపిస్తుంది కదా? Everybody is able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so department go to target table. I'm creating another mapping for department table. So the last class we created a single map with employees table. Okay, so now I'm creating a department table. Let's see the department table. Okay, so now here this is my target table. So I'm linking the source to target, the connector point. So I'm automatically mapping, attribute matching. Whenever you drag and drop the connection between any component to, this is a component, this is a one component. Okay, mapping automatically task. So how do you want to match the columns? I'm saying by name, whatever names, it automatically created a matching. Okay, save this map and go to physical and set your knowledge modules. Where can I set the knowledge modules? So the default knowledge modules required for the mapping is loading knowledge module and the IKM knowledge module. So the loading knowledge module in this section. Okay, so here loading knowledge module. So the LKM Oracle to SQL, Oracle to SQL to Oracle. What is the meaning of SQL to Oracle? That means loading data from any database which supports to SQL, any database. So SQL, so LKM, so the LKM concept is to SQL to Oracle, source technology to staging technology. So the SQL to Oracle means source is, so in the last class we told, see here, LKM source technology to staging technology. That's why here we have a source Oracle to SQL to Oracle. And in the integration knowledge module, so here we can select the integration knowledge module. So whatever knowledge modules we imported here, so those knowledge modules will be available here. We can select the required knowledge module here. Okay, so now I'm using the SQL control append. What type of integration types we have? So we have integration types are control append. Control append is only insert. Okay, so we cannot update the data. Okay, incremental update, we can update, else insert. So if the record is already there, it updates it, else it's only insert the data. Slowly changing dimension, we will see in next class. Slowly changing dimension. So the control append. So the control append, if you see here options, there is no update option here. There is no update option. So under select the CKM. CKM Oracle is by default it is selected. So what is the primary requirement to use the CKM? What is the primary requirement for use the CKM? What is the primary requirement to see a CKM? CKM ఉండాలంటే ఏముండాలి? లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ లో చెప్పాం కదా, CKM చూడండి ఇక్కడ. So flow control is not possible if no key is declared in the target data store. And then we cannot validate, we cannot apply a constraints on the data store if we don't have a primary key on the target. Okay, see here we have to select it as a key. We have to define primary key on the target data store. If you don't have a primary key, on the target table, we cannot validate the data. We cannot do any constraint validation. If you want to run the mapping without any constraints validation, we have to disable the flow control. Flow control needs to be false. If it is true, we have to define a primary key. That is the primary requirement. Flow control is not possible if there is no primary key. Everybody is clear this point? Everybody is clear?
Yes, sir.
Flow control is not possible if we don't have a key defined in target data store. If we don't have a key defined in the target data store, flow control is not possible if we don't define a target data store. Okay, so now the target data store. So now once you select this one, here you can select the CKM also. So where are we going to set it? The LKM and IKM and CKM here. This is the staging area and this is your integration tab. Let's see, let's execute this mapping. So the mapping started. Here. So the mapping completed, the data loaded successfully. Data loaded successfully. You can check this data in the department table. Yes. So the data loaded here. So now I'm going to create another mapping. Okay, another mapping. So now I'm creating another mapping for the locations. Map table to table. Locations underscore target table. Locations underscore target table. So now what I'm doing is, first thing is to drag source table. Okay, first generally the people start dragging the target table. Locations underscore target is my target. I'm dragging this one and then drag this source. Okay, so the sources can be multiple sources. Okay, so now create a mapping. So here, so now it is this one. So you can do the manual mapping also by selecting this column. In this column, you can select the mapping selection here in the expression editor. This is the expression editor. So now go to here, declare a primary key. I'm defining the primary key and go to the physical tab, set the knowledge modules. If you don't set the knowledge module, what happens? If we don't set the knowledge modules, what will happen? If we don't set the knowledge module, what's happen?
By default, it will take default.
Yes, the default knowledge modules. Default knowledge modules. Default knowledge modules. What type of the knowledge modules? The default knowledge modules. What type of the knowledge modules? It's a template based or it's a component based? Component based knowledge module. Because the component based. So here now, what is the knowledge module option? What is the knowledge module option? What are the things we can do with the knowledge module option?
It controls.
Yes, the knowledge module option controls the program execution. So that means we can disable or enable this operation. See here, these are, if you want to delete all the data, if you want to truncate, if the target table is not there, we can create the target table and we can set the select hint. So what is the hint we will be using for selecting the data? Okay, so now here I'm using this one. So the control append. That's a control append is only for insert. So now I'm creating a map. Okay, so the mapping created. Let's go to operator. This is the operator. You can see. Okay, so the each mapping contains the mapping, the physical main map and the physical map. Main map and a cleanup. In the main map, it creates all the tables. Like in the main map, it creates, and the cleanup, it cleanups the data. Everybody is clear? Yes or no, please? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Let's see. So the one topic, important topic we are going to discuss is now. Okay, so now we have how many maps? We have 3 maps. Okay, so now the mappings are done. Let's consider that all the mappings are done. What is our next step? So similarly, okay, all mappings are done. Done with development. So we completed the development is done. So the development and testing is done. So once all the mappings are done, so we'll finish the testing. Okay, so how can you check it using the testing? The testing can be done using a operator. So we can see the execution logs from operator. Execution logs from operator. Okay, so what is the other component we have in ODI for monitoring the operator? What is the other component? Operator or what is the other component we have? In the first or second class I told. So ODI console. ODI console is a web application where we can monitor the logs. ODI console is a web application where we can see the monitoring. Okay, how to open the console and everything we will see in the next step, next class. Okay, so we will finish the testing. So testing is done and everything is done. So what is our next step? So after creating all the maps, okay, so we can create a package, ODI package. What is a ODI package? A package is a workflow. Package is a workflow in the sense is or object, workflow component. Package is a workflow. It contains all related interfaces. So mappings, all related mappings. Mappings are ODI procedures, and ODI variables, and ODI open tools, ODI open tools. We will see one by one. Okay, what is a package? Package contains all related mappings. I want to load the data into one data warehouse. I can create a single package including all mappings or multiple packages with all related mappings, variables. Okay, so ODI open tools, and any ODI package. One package can contain another package. I cannot include a package directly via scenario. We will see what is the scenario. Scenario is a executable component. See, a package can contain mappings. So we can create all the mappings. So it's a workflow. Workflow means it executes all the packages in the sequential order. So it's related mappings, and it is a ODI procedures. ODI procedures we will see, and ODI variables. We will see variables in the today's class, and ODI open tools and any other ODI package. Open tool is the built-in component. Okay, ODI open tool. Tool is nothing but the particular functionality. We will see those things. See the package. So the next step is after creating all the mappings and everything is done. Created the mapping. So now I want to create a whole package. Okay, how to create a package? So now let's see here the package. Okay, here right click a package. Okay, I'm giving a package pkg underscore. Okay, so now I'm loading a employee dept info. So now this package is for package emp and dept info load. So this is the package name. What is the meaning? emp department information load package. So this package is going to contain all the mappings related to employee and DEPT tables. That is the naming convention I'm giving. So this package, so here I can write the description. So this package is for loading data into all tables related to employee and department information. Department package. Department information. So department tables. Okay, so this package is going to say this is a package created. See here, what is the toolbox? These are all called as a ODI open tools. These are all called as a ODI open tools. Okay, so ODI, each tool has a one functionality. For example, see here, for example, we'll see we have a separate class for this component. See here, what is this one? ODI open tool file copy. File copying means, so we need to copy a file from one location to another location. Before starting our interfaces, before starting our mappings, using this ODI file copy, we can copy a file from one location to another location. Okay, so now ODI file delete. What is the meaning of file delete? So now here I'm going to, between this one and this one, I can execute all the mappings. Once all the mappings are successfully executed, once all mappings are successfully executed, I can delete the files. I can delete all files. So each file, each package component has a one functionality. Each has a one functionality. For example, okay, see here, export log. Okay, file append, that means I can write to file. Okay, file copy, copying a file from one location to another location. So the export work repository, so using the, whenever I want to take a, so every week I want to take a backup of my work repository, so I can use the ODI export work. File append, file copy, file delete, file move, file wait. So I want to load the data, so whenever a file is available, see here, so file wait, I'm waiting for a particular file. If the file is there in a particular location, I can start my load. We will see examples, and we'll see the examples in this coming classes. Okay, so the one thing you need to see is, you need to see the functionality of each and every tool. Not every tool, so at least we can discuss like a 5 to 10 tools, but I will provide you notes for other tools, a small introduction. Everybody is okay? The package is a tool. It's a contains each tool has a specific functionality. Each package open tool has a specific functionality. Okay, like copying file from one location to another location. Another location. Deleting files. Okay, waiting for file before starting mapping. Okay, so FTPing files. Files to remote server. So that means, so I want to FTP files from US server to India server, FTPing files. Okay, sending an email after successful completion of a job. After completion of a job, either failure or successful completion of your job, ODI job. Okay, so exporting scenario, exporting scenarios. We can export a scenarios. We can export work repository. We can export operator logs. So these are the various functionalities we have. So if anybody see you, so what is the operators you have used is, at least we need to answer a 6 to 7. Copying for, waiting for a data in a table. Waiting for data in table. I want to wait for a table data. So if the table data is there, then execute that one. So map and zipping files, zipping and unzipping files on the server. So these are the different functionality, zipping and unzipping of files on server. So these are all the various tools. So each one has one tool. So copying file, ODI file copy. So these files are developed in Java. We can develop our own open tool. So we can develop our own tool using Java API. Using Java, we can develop our own open tool. Package is a workflow. So now we are going to see. So package contains. So what are the components of a package? So the components of the package is mapping, and it's a procedure, and it is a variables, and it is a open tools. Okay. So now let's see. Each package contains a one start step. Each package compulsory starting step needs to be specified. Each package contains starting step. Starting step, that is nothing but a where execution start. Execution starts, where execution is going to start. So the package step is a where execution start. Okay, let's see. So now this is a package. These are all the plugins. Okay, FTP, file copy, export object, export master repository, export log. Okay, and see here import scenario, importing, creating directory. Okay, output file, ping an agent to see the purging of the log, so deleting the data from a log and everything. These are the different tools we have. Wait for table, wait for log data. Okay, wait for data in a table. These are all the objects we have. Okay, so now this is the mapping interfaces, ODI variables, ODI open tools. Okay, now let's see all in mappings. So first I'm putting the locations one. See here, this arrow mark, green arrow mark indicates that it is a starting step. Second one and third one. So three mappings, I put it in the interface. I'm going to put a variables in couple of minutes later. So now I need to, once this is the starting mapping. So this is the mapping, execution starts first. So once this is completely successful, I need to execute this. So once this is completely successful, I need to execute this. So this maps is going to execute in the order. Okay, so how can I link? See here, here. So now we have a OK and KO. OK means successful. Okay, so now this is successful, execute this. If this is successful, it is execute this. So KO means fail. Okay, so let's see. I want to send an email. Send an email. Okay, I'm sending an email. So when this is going to fail, when this is going to fail, and when this is going to fail. So I'm sending an email. Map fails, so I want to send an email when a map fails. So when this is going to fail, send an email. When this is going to fail, send an email. When this is going to fail, send an email. So that means, how can I identify this is fail or successful? Okay, OK means successful, KO means fail. See here, sorry, 3 is created successfully. That means if this is a failure, I'm going to send an email. See here, I have a one package. It contains 4 steps. What are the steps? 3 are interfaces and 1 is open tool. So this tool is we need to configure. We cannot configure on our local server because it's going to fail because we don't have a mail server on our local machines. Okay, so now this one. So the starting mail, because ఇక్కడ మనం మెయిల్ ని టెస్ట్ చేయలేమండి, ఎందుకంటే మనకి సర్వర్ కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ అదేమి ఉండదు. ఆఫీస్ లో అయితే మెయిల్ సర్వర్ పోర్ట్ అవన్నీ చెప్తాం మనం. ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చూపిస్తాం మీకు నేను. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ థింగ్. సో స్టార్టింగ్ స్టెప్. సో నా ఇక్కడ ఏం చేయాలంటే మనం ఇక్కడ, సో వాట్ ఐఎమ్ గోయింగ్ టు సే హియర్ ఈస్ వన్స్ ఆల్ ద ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ ఆర్ డన్, వీ హ్యావ్ టు క్రియేట్ ఏ mapping, sorry, package. The package contains, okay, package contains all the objects. What are the objects? We can put it in a mapping. We can put it in a mappings, procedures, variables, and open tool. Open tool is this one. These are all the 3 mappings. Everybody is clear? All these mappings linked using OK and KO. OK means successful and KO means it is a fail. So I'm deleting this part and because it's going to fail it. Okay, so now let's see, we're going to test this mapping. So I'm purging the log. I'm deleting purge log. Purge log means I'm deleting the all these logs from operator. See here, now there's no more operator. I'm deleting the data before testing this one. Table truncate. So now there is no data in the three tables: department table, no data; employees table, no data; location table, no data. So now I'm executing this packages. So the package is created. Okay, so it contains the three mappings. All three mappings is going to execute in a order. So first it's going to execute this, second this, and second this. So if you want to start the execution from here, you can right click and we can make this first at a first step. But it won't execute this because here I am starting the execution. Once this is done, it's going to execute the second one. That's why always make sure the first one is the where you are going to execution start. Okay, so now the saved it and click this one. I disconnected it. See here, this is the package. The package contains the three mappings: 0, 1, 2. This is the first one, second one, and third one. You can check it. Okay, you can check this one. So no failures. No failures. No failures. Okay, so now you can see the data in a table. So the locations table, we got the data. Department table, we got the data. Employees table, we got the data. So the package, in a single package, we can create all the objects and we can load all the data. Everybody is clear how to create a package and everything? Yes or no, please? What is the package contain? So the package contains all the objects. So the package, we are not going to write much more code in the package because the package is the integration object. So we will put all the mappings and everything in a single place. But actual data flow, which component of ODI is going to have a actual data load logic? Which component of ODI has a data load logic? Which component of a ODI have a data load logic? Which component of ODI have a data load logic?
The this
What component?
package.
Logical.
Not logical, right? It's a mapping, the data load logic.
Mapping here. Mapping.
In the mapping, we are writing a code for moving the data from source to target, right? The
Yes, sir.
package we are executing in the sequential order. Okay, so now we are going to show the package. The package,
So the logical will be in mapping.
yeah, the mapping is the component. It is mainly for loading the data. Okay, let's say here all these tables are equally loaded the data. Everybody is clear? Everybody is
Yes,
clear?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now what is the step, next step after creating the mappings? Okay, so now I'm going to see, this is not the done with the packages, and we will come back to the packages again because say everybody want to start the marketing, they want to have an idea what is the package, what are the components we are going to see. Okay, so now we can create a multiple packages. We can create a multiple package, each package specific to a particular operation. What is our next step of package creation? So after all packages are done, after all packages are done, okay, the next step is done. Packages development and testing are done. Let me get it a development and testing. Next step is to create a scenario. Scenario. What is scenario? Scenario is a executable code. Scenario is a executable code that is ready to execute. Executable code. Okay. Scenario is executable code, that means ready to execute. Once a scenario created, okay, so the executable code which is ready to deploy into testing and then production environment. So it's ready to deploy. So the once a package is scenario is ready, okay, once a package we can have a multiple scenarios can be created. Okay, so which is ready to deploy into test and then production environment. Okay, so executable code. Let's see how to create a scenario. The package is there. So once the packages are done, so the right click the scenario, see right click this package and create a generate scenario. Generate a scenario. I'm creating a scenario. Each scenario has a version. So SCN, and I'm giving a 1.0.0. So this is my scenario number. Okay, so now a scenario is created. Scenario is an executable component. So once a scenario created, we cannot modify a scenario. Okay, so now, so I'm truncating the tables again. So I want to show you. So scenario, how to create a scenario. Scenario created by right click this package and click generate scenario. A scenario is created and each scenario is have a one version 100. Each scenario has a version 100. Okay, right click here, generate a scenario. See here it is creating a 101. It's another scenario is creating. We can create another scenario. Okay, so now let's truncate the tables again. Okay, so the scenario is there. So now we can execute the scenario. I'm executing this scenario. Run. Scenario started. See here, its execution is done. See here, it's completed in so quick. Because scenario means it's ready to execute it. So we don't need to compile it again. If you execute a package execution may take little bit long time, because it needs to compile first and then execute it. But scenario, it's ready to execute it. So what are our steps? So the first step is to create a topology and create a reverse engineering model, then create a mappings and create a procedures, and then create all the package. What is the package content? So the package contains integration of all the components. So once the package is done, so generate a scenario. So now this scenario is ready to deploy into production. So how can we move the code from development environment to testing? So the right click this scenario and we can export it. Export this scenario and then in the execution work repository. So once the scenario is executed, so the scenario can be, so we can move the code. We can move or we can deploy ODI components into test and production environment. Now with the help of scenarios. Scenarios only. We cannot export package directly. Okay, why? Scenario is executable code. So we can import into execution work repository. So the packages, no, because in the test and production environment, we are going to have a execution work repository in the test and production. See here, we told you in the development environment, we are going to have the development work repository. In the development environment, we are going to have a best practice development work repository. In testing environment, we are going to have a exe work repository, execution work repository. 1 second. Okay, in the test environment, we are going to have a execution work repository. So the execution work repository, because work repositories are of two types, repository. And in the production environment, we are going to have again exe work repository. Okay, so the work repository. So packages, interface and everything, so that is only in the during the development only. So we cannot import packages, interfaces directly into test and prod environments, because we cannot have it. We are not going to have the development work repository in test and production environment. So we are going to have always execution work repository. So that's why, so the scenarios is required to move into production. Everybody is clear this point? So why creating a scenario? Because scenario is executable component, so we can import scenarios into test and production work repositories. Everybody is clear this point? Yes or no, please? Yes or no, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rest of the people, is it clear to everyone? Everybody is clear? Pranit, Devender, Sachin, Rohit. చెప్పండి, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now, so the scenario, so we can move the code during the export and import process with the help of, so with export and import process, we can export and import process, so we can deploy scenarios. If anybody asks you how can you deploy using the help of export and import process, we can deploy scenarios into test and production environment. So test and production, so wherever you environment, production environment. Okay, so from designer, so from designer, so we will export scenarios. Okay, so from operator, because we are not going to have designer in the test and prod, from operator we will import, so import all scenarios. We will import all the scenarios, because in the execution work repository we cannot have designer is only in the development work repository only. So how can we export? So we can export the scenarios from here. We can export the scenario into a directory, and in the operator, okay, here in the operator we can import scenario. We can import scenario in the operator. We can import scenario in the operator, and then we can export it. So now, okay, so now once you exported all the scenarios in the designer, we will connect to operator in the test and production environment. We will connect to test and production environments using operator, and then we can import all the scenarios. Everybody is clear? Everybody is clear? So now what is the step is? So what is the basic step is? Topology setup, complete life cycle. Topology setup in the sense is, so logical and physical connection. One second, sir. Okay, so the topology setup, logical and a physical setup. So we are going to create a physical setup and a logical setup. So once the topology is done, okay, so the next step is to create a project. So I'm telling you that once again, I'm refreshing all the life cycle of your project. So create a project. So where do you create a project? In a designer. So here is, so what is the component we will be using is the topology manager. Topology manager, or we can use ODI console also. ODI console also here. So now the designer. Okay, so the thing is to reverse engineering. Reverse engineer. So the reverse engineering can be done in the designer under model section. So here, so in the designer under model section, here it is the project. So the designer contains project section, model section, load plans and scenarios. Designer in the models project section. Okay, let's make it the designers project section. Now here designers model section. Okay, so now the project is created. So now create all the mappings. Create all required mappings. Mappings. So where do you create mappings? Okay, mappings, and use any variables and use any procedures, ODI procedures development. Procedure development and ODI functions. We can do anything. Functions. Where can we develop here? So the designers project section. We can develop in the designers project section. So we can create a project. We can reverse engineering is done. And then we can create all the required mappings, use any variables, procedures, ODI functions and designers project section. Okay, so now, so once all the mappings are done, so what is the next step is the package creation. Packages creation. We can create single package or multiple packages. So the packages creation. So the packages creation, package contains all the components. Where we can create it, the designers project section. So the package created scenario generation. So the next step is to scenario generation. Scenario generation for all packages. All packages scenario generated. Where do you see here? The designers project section. Okay. So now the reports, once the scenario and everything is done, scenarios generation for all packages. Now export all scenarios. Export all scenarios. Scenarios. How can you export it? Right click the scenario and then export it using designers project section. Okay, so now up to once you are done with this one, so that means you are done testing and everything is done. So this is the steps in the development environment. This is your development environment. These are the steps in the development environment. Okay, so now everything is done. Okay, so then what is your testing and production environment? Let's make it as a testing environment. Testing or production environment. Testing and production environment. Okay, so now the first step is to topology setup. Topology, we need to set up the topology. Topology setup that includes logical and a physical setup. Logical schema, logical and physical setup. Physical setup. One thing remember in the sense is here is topology. Topology manager or ODI console. We will see how to use the ODI console in the next class. ODI console. Okay. So now see here one thing here is, okay, one thing remember here is in the operator, whatever logical schema you have used for this physical, see here, what is the logical schema we have used? See here, logical schema, right? The logical schema here we have used is ls oracle source local hr. Okay, so now using this name we created all the projects. Using that name we developed all our mapping. So here is mapping. See here, so this is the mapping. So this is the mapping we created in the general attributes. These are the logical oracle source local hr, and this is the logical schema. So now all the mappings, all the development are completely tied with your logical schema. Okay, so the logical schema names specified in the development and test and production should be same. Logical schema names, because we need to develop based on the logical schema names. One thing here we need to important thing here is note, this is very important and we need to mention the logical schema names. Physicals no need to be same. Logical schema names should be matched in development stage. Whatever we are using the development environment, in development and in test or production environment. See, physical server names can be different. Schema names are different, but one thing should be common is logical schema names. That is the way we are going to retain our code in the production, test or production environment. See the logical schema name. So the physical schema will be derived from logical schema. Physical schemas will be derived from logical schema. So that's why we are development. All these developments in the retain. So here in the models also, we are using the logical schema. That's why we have to keep the logical schemas are same between schema names are between this development and in the testing. If the logical schemas are missed, so your code is not going to execute it. Everybody is clear this point? Everybody is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now topology is there. So the topology needs to be set up manually. Okay, so now here create project is not required. Reverse engineering is not required. Mapping are not required. Package creation are not required. Scenario generation is not required. So we need to export the scenarios. So now here is, okay, so once the topology map is done, so now go to operator. Go to operator. Okay, so operator, go to operator. That means we have to connect it to the operator. Now, so now from operator, so we have to import all scenarios. We have to import all scenarios. So in the how to move the code from development to production. Okay, so this is the step. So once we create the scenarios and everything, so we have going to testing the production environment, and then we can import all the scenarios. From the operator, we have to import all scenarios. We have to import all scenarios. So the topology setup, topology manager or ODI console, go to operator, and then we are going to import all the scenarios. Now, once import is done, import of scenarios is done. Are done. Okay, scenarios is done. Scenarios are done. We need to schedule those scenarios with agents. Agent is the component which is responsible for automatic execution. Agent. Okay, we have to schedule those scenarios. So the scenarios are the main components which are responsible for execution. So we are going to execute those scenarios. Everybody is clear? So this is a complete life cycle of your ODI project. Everybody is clear. So we know how to use. So how to topology manager, create a project, and if anybody asks you in interview or in a vendor call, so you need to set up all these information. Everybody is it clear? Everybody is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's see. So I'm truncating these tables. The data is there. I'm truncating this table. I'm going to more detailed concepts. Is everybody is it clear so far? Everybody is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
please observe carefully. I'm going to show you something in the mapping. So I'm keeping this scenario as it is. Okay. So now I'm truncating the data because I want to load it again. Okay. So now tables truncated. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to adding a new columns to this table. So alter table employees trg adding insert date. I want to capture the insert date. So when the record is inserted into the table, so I'm adding a new column to the table. So please note down this command. You can do the same commands on your table. I'm adding new columns. So I'm adding a new column. Okay, so 3 columns, 3 tables added, 3 columns created. Now I want to load the data into this insert date. So the insert date is, this insert date is not getting from the source. This insert date is not getting from the source. This insert date should be populated as the date of inserting the record. అంటే ఏ రోజు నీకు ఆ రికార్డ్ ఇన్సర్ట్ అయితే ఆ డేట్ పాపులేట్ జరగాలి, and this column is not coming from the source. Okay, now I need to modify the interfaces. Okay, first thing is, so this is the interface. So go to this interface. So now let's see. So here the department table, I have only 4 columns, but I have a 5 columns in my target table. What happened? So column modified. Whenever you modify a column definition and you want to load the data into the newly added column. Okay, so whenever you modify tables on the database side. Okay, so we need to re-import, reverse engineering. So reverse engineering those tables. Those tables for getting the updated information, for getting the latest information into ODI model. So I need to reverse engineering again. Okay, 3 tables only. So now go to the models. So we added on this target side. So now go to targets and open this and reverse engineering and select to reverse engineering object. So I want to reverse engineering only this selected department, employees, and the location only. Only 3 tables. Select this and done the reverse engineering. So now done. It's a reverse engineering is done. I clicked it. So now go to the departments. You can see the attributes. So I have inserted it is coming now, because we reverse engineering. So what is the primary point here is, whenever you had a change on the database side, whenever you have a change in the database side and you want to load the data, we need to reverse engineering to make the tables up to date in the database. Okay, so now tables are done. So now I need to load the data into table. So now I re-imported the mapping. See here, now insert date is there. Okay, this column is not mapped. I want to populate the data into this column. Okay, so now the go to expression. So now this insert date is not getting any data from target source. This insert data is not getting data from source. What can I do? I want to load the data on the target server with the current date. So how can I get the current date in Oracle? How can I get the current date in Oracle? So using sysdate. Okay, so now this column. Okay, so this column is getting data from a source. Is this insert date column is getting data from a source? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Sir.
But where column needs to be generated? This column needs to be generated on the target, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's why we need to specify execution hint on target. This column needs to be generated on target. It's not coming from the source. What we have to do is we have to generate a constant, a function or a constant system date and execute hint on target. Okay, this is done. So now go to this employees again. So similarly, employees also attribute the system date, the current date. And this is the constant and generating on the target. We need to specify a target. Save it. Everybody is a clear following? Column march day, we need to get that value. System date. Okay, so now 3 columns. So we need to specify the target insert date on target. We don't need to select it. Automatically it's selected, but it is all better to select a column with a system date. Okay, 3 columns are created. Interfaces are modified. Okay, interfaces are modified. Now, so now if I execute a package, let's see what happens. I'm executing a package. Okay, let's see. Now I'm executing this scenario. Okay, so scenario is already created. After creating a scenario, I added a new columns in the mappings. I modified these mappings. I'm executing this scenario. What happened? This is done.
Done.
So the scenario completed successful. Okay, so the data loaded, right? Let's see the database tables. Data. So this column is populated null. Why? Because we executed a scenario with the older version. That means
yes, sir.
For modifying this interfaces, we have generated a scenario. Old scenario executed. Old scenario executed. Old scenario means at that particular time, whatever data, whatever mappings we have in the interfaces or procedures or something, only those code execute. So the new modifications will not include in the old scenarios. Everybody is clear? See here, old code executed because scenario, old scenario. Okay, so now I'm deleting this table trunket. Okay, so now the scenario executed, it's done. So the scenario executed means it's the old code executed. Okay, so now I'm creating this. If I execute this package, so the package executes the current code. Package executes current code. See here, package execution taking time because it needs to be compiled the code. So it's a failed. Let's see why it is failed. CKF insert not null errors. Over a insert date is invalid identifier. See here, this is the step it is going to fail. So the insert, what is the code it is generated? See here, insert the data. So insert data here. I'm inserting data into $e table. Okay, inserting data into $e table. Okay, with this insert date column, but it is saying that invalid identifier. Invalid identifier. $e table is invalid identifier. Why? Okay, why? We will see in next class. We will continue exactly here. One thing here you need to remember is, so whenever you execute a scenario, it creates executable code at that particular point of time. Whenever you modify a code and everything, so the modifications will not include in that scenarios. Okay, everybody? Yes or no, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. So we will continue in next class. అందరికి అర్థమైంది కదండి? Everybody is
Yes, sir.
clear?
Yes,
Please
sir.
practice it. Okay, I'll upload the class after some time.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.